This is Matador News, and these are today's headlines. Climate change activists continue protests around the world demanding more action. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver says the league will not apologize to China for a team manager's tweet.
Hello and welcome to Matador News. I'm Karina Gutierrez.
And I'm Georgia Rios. Democratic leaders say they'll now subpoena U.S. Ambassador to the EU, Gordon Sondland, to testify as part of their impeachment investigation. Sondland was ordered by the State Department not to appear before 3 House committees in a closed-door meeting today. Intelligence Committee Chair Adam Schiff says that order is strong evidence of obstruction.
Is the Congress being deprived of his testimony, the American people being deprived of his testimony today? But we are also aware that the ambassador has text messages or emails on a personal device which have been provided to the State Department, although we have requested those from the ambassador, and the State Department is withholding those messages as well.
Republican Jim Jordan says he understands why the State Department issued the order to Sondland.
It's based on the unfair and partisan process that Mr. Schiff has been running. When you think about what the Democrats are trying to do, impeach the President of the United States 13 months prior to an election based on an anonymous whistleblower with no firsthand knowledge who has a bias against the President.
President Trump tweeted saying if Ambassador Sondland had testified, he would be doing it in front of a kangaroo court. He also talked about Sondland's own tweet, which said Trump had been crystal clear. The Democrats say Sondland's testimony and documents are vital to the impeachment inquiry, and that is precisely why the administration is now blocking his testimony and withholding his documents. Recently released text messages between Sondland and Trump administration officials indicate he had knowledge of Trump's July request to Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden.
A majority of Americans now say they support the impeachment inquiry by the House Democrats. The Washington Post and the Schar School released numbers showing the support of impeachment inquiry. In July, 37% of people say they were in favor of the inquiry and 59% say they were not. Now, 58% say they support the inquiry and only 38% now say they oppose it. The polls also asked people if Trump should be indefinitely removed from office. 49% say they are in support of his removal.
Demonstrations against climate change and governmental policies continue around the world. Protest members of the climate change organization Extinction Rebellion are holding what they call die-ins. The Wall Street Bull, symbolizing American capitalism, was vandalized by the group with red paint yesterday. Others lay on the ground pretending to be dead. The group says it plans to protest climate change inaction in 60 countries for the next 2 weeks. And in Ecuador, Ecuadorian citizens are protesting to end state fuel subsidies. Ecuadorian President Lenin Moreno says the government will leave the capital, and Ministry of Defense officials say the military had to rescue dozens of personnel held by protesters. More than 470 protesters have been arrested so far. And in Hong Kong, protests for more civil rights are in their 5th month. Some citizens are deciding that it's time to leave the city. Police are beefing up their actions against protesters. 2 people were shot in the last week.
The Supreme Court is set to hear arguments in an LGBTQ case today. Many LGBTQ activists are marching and protesting outside the Supreme Court.
Justice! When do we win? Now! When do we win? Justice!
Trans lives matter! Trans lives matter!
The case will be closely looked at to see if the federal civil rights law protects LGBTQ people from job discrimination. Amy Stevens says she was fired from her job in 2013 after changing her gender identity. She sued right after. This is the first court case of the LGBTQ for Brett Kavanaugh since the retirement of Justice Anthony Kennedy. A decision is set to be made by summer 2020. This will have a big impact for the 8.1 million LGBTQ people. Yet another threat at another CSU campus. Matador News reporter Yarazeth Tapia has more of the story.
Thank you, Karina. Cal State Long Beach officials have taken into custody the students responsible for prompting the campus lockdown yesterday. Campus Police Chief Fernando Solorzano said police have a good reason to believe it was a female student who made the threat, but no further details were given. Officials discovered an email threatening acts of violence yesterday, and authorities were quick to send out a lockdown email. which prompted students and staff to barricade themselves with furniture and school supplies stacked against each other. Some students went on Twitter and posted images and videos of the lockdown and raised concern that some classroom doors didn't lock from the inside. We spoke to CSUN students about their
Nowadays, you have
thoughts
to
on
be
this
careful with
incident.
everything, no matter if it's a false alarm or not. Like, you just have to be aware of your surroundings and like be prepared.
The proper protocols, for one thing, when I read the news, they said the doors don't have proper locks. Well, I think they should have proper locks because students were like putting I think the desk to lock the door, and they shouldn't have to do it. There needs to be proper safety measures.
Cal State Long Beach authorities said the campus does not face any current threats.
Gas prices are at an all-time high. The price per gallon costs $4.18. Not all oil refineries are able to make gas that meets the state's strict air quality rules, leading to a spike in gas prices. This is the highest price has been since May of 2014. The national average is currently $2.65.
A cosmologist and two scientists were jointly awarded the 2019 Nobel Prize in Physics. This morning, James Peebles of Princeton University and fellow laureates Michel Mayor and Didier Queloz of the University of Geneva in Switzerland were acknowledged for their research. Peebles got the prize for contributing to a theoretical framework for physical discoveries in cosmology and scientists' understanding of the origins of the universe. He helped identify substances that cannot be observed by any scientific instruments, but make up 95% of the universe regarding dark energy and dark matter. Mayor and Queloz were acknowledged for their discovery in 1995 of an exoplanet orbiting a star 50 light years away from our sun. Nothing like this has ever been discovered before, and it opened the door for scientists to discover thousands more of these planets. Nobel Committee member Ulf Danielsson said this year's Nobel laureates in physics have painted a picture for a universe far stranger and more wonderful than we could have ever imagined. He also says our view of our place in the universe will never be the same again.
A fire weather watch has been issued by forecasters for Southern California. Later this week, Santa Ana winds are predicted, bringing the threat of wildfires across the Southland. Forecasters will decide later today or tomorrow if this warrant is a red flag warning. Red flag warnings are issued when warm temperatures, very low humidity, and strong winds are expected to combine to produce an increased risk of fire danger. If conditions get bad, the warning will be in place Wednesday night through Friday evening. California's history dates some of the worst wildfires in the month of October.
Now let's hear from Esteban Reynoso with today's health stories.
Thanks, Georgia. HIV prevention drugs will soon be available without a prescription in California. Starting next year, pre-exposure and post-exposure prophylaxis, or PrEP and PEP pills, can be handed out by pharmacists without a doctor's involvement. PrEP is a daily pill for HIV-negative individuals that helps lower the risk of infection. PEP is a 28-day prevention for people who may have been exposed to the virus. According to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, PrEP is over 90% effective. The bill was signed yesterday by California Governor Gavin Newsom. It is October, which means ghouls, ghosts, and flu season. Health officials are already reporting deaths this flu season. Doctors recommend getting the flu shot before the end of October, but most importantly, before Thanksgiving. People tend to see more people and be exposed to more germs during the holidays. Doctors are having trouble predicting this year's flu season after last year. The flu season in 2018 lasted for 8 months, the longest in a decade. The Klotz Center here at CSUN offers the flu shot seasonally in October. This year, nasal spray is an option for some patients. Doctors say the best time to get the flu vaccine is right now. Now let's go to Bia Bajos with entertainment news.
Thank you. The first Black-owned TV and film studios opened this weekend in Atlanta. The owner is the actor, director, and producer Tyler Perry. The big opening party had the presence of Beyoncé, Jay-Z, Oprah Winfrey, and others. Perry says he built this studio after feeling ignored in Hollywood. He also says that there is a language that he speaks that Hollywood doesn't, which is the language of African American stories. He has now dozen sound stages, each named after Black Hollywood artists. Nick Jonas is the coach of the season 18 of The Voice. Jonas broke the news on the Ellen DeGeneres shows. Not like most things, he's the second Jonas to participate from the singing program. Joe was the first in Australian edition. The coaches next season are Nick Jonas, Blake Shelton, John Legend, and Kelly Clarkson. The new Warner Bros. Movie Joker broke the box office in the first weekend of release. It was the highest-grossing movie ever to open the month of October. In the United States, Joker collected $96 million and worldwide $248 million. Despite this popularity, there is also a controversy over the violence shown in the film. Police in many cities provide extra security due to threats of mass shooting in the opening night. The FBI and Department of Homeland Security warned law enforcement to be prepared. Now let's go back to Esteban with today's sports stories.
NBA Commissioner Adam Silver says the league will not apologize for a tweet from the Houston Rockets general manager Daryl Morey. The tweet was in support of ongoing anti-China protests in Hong Kong. Silver says he regrets having lots of Chinese fans miss out on experiencing the game, but he stands with his employees.
We are not apologizing for Daryl exercising his freedom of expression. I regret, again, having communicated directly with many friends in China that so many people are upset, including millions and millions of our fans.
Morey posted in a now deleted tweet an image saying, quote, "Fight for freedom, stand with Hong Kong." Chinese officials are punishing the NBA by not showing the Lakers and Nets basketball game on Thursday, a game that was sure to bring a lot of views for the league. The Brooklyn Nets' new owner is Joe Tsai, who co-founded the Chinese giant Alibaba, and the Lakers have superstars in LeBron James and Anthony Davis. The NBA has a $1.5 billion contract with Chinese streaming partner Tencent, who says they will no longer show Rockets games. Basketball is very popular in China. An estimated 500 million people have seen a televised NBA game. The Los Angeles Dodgers are heading to Game 5 of the NLDS after falling 6-1 to the Washington Nationals. Each team has won and lost a game at home in this series, leading to one more game here in LA to decide the best of 5 series. The Nationals' first baseman Ryan Zimmerman smashed a 3-run home run in the 5th inning to extend the Nationals' lead. Max Scherzer got himself into a jam in the 7th inning as he faced Jock Peterson with the bases loaded. Jock almost broke the game open for the Dodgers, but the ball went foul, and he would ground out on the next pitch. The Nats would add one more insurance run and win Game 4. The Dodgers are hoping to avoid another heartbreak ending to their season after losing in the World Series to the reigning champion Boston Red Sox, as well as the World Series the year before against the Houston Astros. A loss to the Nationals would be a huge disappointment for a team expecting to reach its 3rd straight World Series with a real chance to win it this year. Game 5 is tomorrow night to decide who advances to the NL Championship Series. Now back to Bia with more on business news.
Thank you. Unilever plans to drastically reduce its non-recycled plastic packaging by the year 2025. The parent company for Ben & Jerry's ice cream, Vaseline, and Dove soap says it uses about 700,000 tons of plastic packaging every year. Unilever pledged to invest alternatives such as reusable and refillable materials. The company's goal is to reduce the use of plastic by 100,000 tons in addition to recycling over 600,000 tons of plastic every year. Unilever CEO Alan Job says it's the company's vision. It's the world in which everyone works together to ensure that plastic stays in the economy and out of the environment. By 2025, Unilever plans to using no more than 350,000 tons of non-recycling plastic, reducing its current use by more than half. The United Auto Works union strike at General Motors reached the 4-week mark this week. With no end in sight, the losses are mounting for both sides. GM has lost $660 million already. Employees are also feeling the pain.
There's a lot of people here with children, and it's like, it's very hard, having to explain to your children that you're going to have to tighten belts. This isn't about us right here, right now. This is about future generations.
The company said it's committed to reaching a deal. Without settlement, GM losses will probably reach in excess of $1 billion by the end of the week. Whiskey is now being served in a different way, without a glass. Glenlivet, one of the world's top producers, is making whiskey in pods. Each capsule has 23 milliliters. It is edible, 100% ecological, with what the company calls the flavor explosion experience. Some people didn't like it, saying whiskey needs ice and a glass to be enjoyed. The pods are going to be served in London's celebration of cocktail innovations until October 13th. Now let's go back to Georgia with more news and traffic.
Now for your traffic update. The 405 freeway has been jammed up because of a fatal crash near Bel Air this morning. The crash happened around 4 this morning involving one big rig. One person was killed in the crash. The 3 lanes that were closed have now been reopened. Investigators have searched the area. Traffic is still heavily backed up in the southbound lanes.
Owning a dog could help you live longer. Dog owners have a 33% lower risk of death by heart attack. Doctors say having a canine companion can lower blood pressure, improve cholesterol, and reduce the risk of depression. Besides the emotional support, dogs can bring the required daily walks and also set dogs apart from other pets. But if owning a dog seems to be rough, then find another potential companion. Thank you for watching Matador News. I'm Karina Gutierrez.
I'm Georgia Rios.
I'm Esteban Reynoso.
Bia Barros. Thank you for watching. See you next week.